Okay, we're here looking at a new John Deere ExactEmerge planter, and we want to go through the meter real quick and just give it an explanation of what's going on in there and some of the adjustments you might need to make. So to get into your meter, it'd be pretty similar to what you've done on previous planters. Take your vac hose off and then remove your rubber tether and open up your vacuum chamber. Inside the vacuum chamber there is a seal in here. It looks different than in previous model planters, and there's also an ejector wheel, a knocker wheel here in the vacuum chamber. Now what that's going to do is, as the bowl comes around, that ejection wheel is going to actually push that seed down into the brush belt, which we'll cover later, but then that'll allow the brush belt to take that down and dump it right in the seed trench. So we'll go ahead and take the bowl off. So again, just like in previous planters, you're going to turn the dial, turn the knob, and pull your disc out. Now it looks like a bowl. Now really the only difference between a corn and a soybean bowl is the corn bowl has the 32 holes that are open, and the bean disc, you can see on this one right here, the bean disc will not have these plugs in here. These are actually molded into the bowl, and on the corn disc they're actually plugged off, so you have half as many holes. Bean disc will be exactly the same, except the holes won't be plugged from the mold. On the other side, you've got little agitators here to kind of stirrate the seed and agitate the seed, so it'll allow the bowl to pick it up. This is the seed size or side of the disc. This is where the corn will be riding. This is the vacuum chamber or the vacuum seal side of the bowl. So as the bowl sits in here, it's going to pick up the kernels down inside of here, and there's a little rumble strip here. It's just got little tabs on it. And these little tabs, again, just kind of help with agitating that seed, help to, if you got talc or something down in here, it'll kind of help separate that out a little bit. Now when you do switch to beans, you will have to remove this. There's a little tab on the back side. You can push that out and pull that strip out, and you'll actually put one in that's smooth for soybeans. So you do have to change that. The next thing we're going to come up to is this is our double eliminator. There's 3 settings for the corn. I don't know if you can see the little white lines here. I've got an aggressive position, I've got the standard position, and then I've got a less aggressive position. So that's going to be your positions for corn. On this back side, there's also little rubber tabs on the back side that are going to help knock off any of those doubles if we happen to get one. For soybeans, I'm going to squeeze these tabs right here. I'm going to squeeze and I'm going to push this all the way down to this bottom line. And that's going to pull this out of the way for soybeans. So that's where we're going to be for soybeans. I'm going to put it back in the corn position for now. And again, I just picked my different positions based on those white lines. A couple other things here. We've got these wear pads inside, and these are the wear pads for the bowl. Now these are they extend above the housing just a little bit, so that's what your bowl is actually going to be running on. So as these wear over time, if you start to see after several acres, you start to see these pads starting to wear down and get into the housing, then you're going to want to replace these pads. And if you get a look at your planter, you'll notice that these do stick up above that bowl housing just a little bit. So there's 4 of them, so you'll want to replace those if you start to see that the bowl has worn those down flush with the housing. So what happens as that bowl comes around, that ejector wheel we talked about pushes that seed down in that brush. And we're going to pause the video for a second, and then we'll get right into the brush module. Okay, we've got our meter removed, and then we simply use this latch to take that meter loose. We pulled the meter off, and we also removed the housing that goes over the top of the motors to protect them from the elements. So here's our brush module. And our brush module, again, as I talked previously, as the bowl comes around, it pushes the seed down into that brush, and then the brush takes it down and delivers it to the seed trench. This is my row unit controller. Every row on the planter has this. It converts the voltages and maintains your motors. I do have a motor for the meter, and I've got a motor also for my brush module. So there's 2 motors, and they're the exact same part number, so they can be swapped for diagnostic purposes, but they're the exact same motor. Now to remove my brush module, kind of like taking a seed tube out, I'm going to kind of wiggle it back here and remove the tab up here, and then I'm going to pull up. I'm going to take my seed tube sensor and I'm going to unhook it. Then I'm going to pull my brush module out. So this is my brush module. Now when you're storing the brush module, you're going to want to make sure to take the actual brush out. So when you get done from the season, or if you are going to have that planter parked for a substantial amount of time, I need to remove the brush from the brush module. So what I'm going to do is I've got a tension knob here. So I'm going to take that tension knob and I'm going to loosen it. Now I just took the tension off of my brush. Then the next thing I'm going to have to do is I've got all these tabs here, and I'm going to have to take these covers off so that I can get my brush out. So we're going to pause the video again. I'm going to take that out, and then we'll go through what's inside. Okay, we have the back cover removed. Now there's a top cover and a bottom cover. Here's our bottom cover that goes right here. And then here's the main cover that covers the rest of the brush modules. So we've taken those off so we can kind of show you what's going on inside of here. So really pretty simple. I've got my tensioning mechanism. I showed you the knob earlier. There's the tensioning mechanism that puts the tension on or off my belt. I also have a brush conditioner wire down here, so if you get into something that's sticky, you get some sticky dirt, sticky mud conditions, this is going to kind of help fluff that brush back to maintain the brush condition. So again, what I want to do is when it's time to take this, I want to peel this brush out of here and make sure that I store that in a somewhat climate controlled and hang them up. What I don't want to do is leave them in here because what can happen is if something is pressing down on a brush, or if you leave them in there with the meters in them, it can deform that brush. Now generally it'll kind of come out of it. I mean, the little conditioner here will kind of fluff that brush and generally it'll kind of come out of it. But generally you want to make sure and take those brushes out just like you store your bowls inside. You don't want to leave them in the planter over winter. These stainless steel pieces right here are the wear strips that go around. They start all the way up here where the seed runs against the edge. It's in the brush coming down here and then getting dumped back into the seed tube. So these are replaceable stainless steel strips for wear. We had a planter in 2015 that ran over 10,000 acres, and we could see very little wear on any of these strips. So they're going to last a long time. Same could be said for the brushes. We didn't really see any noticeable wear on the brushes. Now one thing we did notice that wore was the little conditioner rod. That may be something, as you start to get those kind of acres, it may need to be replaced. But we noticed after about that many acres, it was worn about half through, and so that may be something that you want to take a look at. But as far as the inside of this, we noticed very little wear on the brushes. We noticed very little wear on the wear strips. This is your seed tube sensor, and to take it out, you simply just slide it out. There's no tabs or anything you really have to click. You just slide it out of there. But that's kind of a brief tour of the brush module. But remember, when you get done with the season, make sure and take the brush out and store it.